Hi everyone, I am Astro-Anarchist, and I have some stuff to say about getting through this eclipse. And here we're gonna get at it. We're in the belly of it now. So it started on September 17th, and I've been struggling on how I want to communicate these transits. I went with video because I can't phone you all and explain this or get into this conversation. So I want you to know that relationships are a massive focus for us right now, and that's because of all this nodal change. The astrology's been asking us to be more authentic with ourselves and to know who we really are. And I really want to kind of hammer this. I'm going to get into it, right? But like this is about knowing who you really are. So this has been a theme for quite a while, like almost 18 months. And here's the deal. I said in this presentation about September in this community I'm a part of, that this month is asking us to look at our own relationships and how we act within them and how they're this place of our energy. So where are we sending our energy? And who are we sending our energy to? And when we talk about relationships, this name that we start out with our familial relationships, our families of origin, and some of us aren't even raised by the people that actually are our family of origin. So it's really complicated, but it kind of sets up a sort of template, and those relationships are kind of a fractal out into our romantic relationships, our friendships, our professional relationships, our community work. And so when I say relationship work, where I'm getting this from is the opposition between a bunch of planets. The full moon eclipse, that's actually a major opposition, which is dependent on the nodal axis, and that's always a polarity anyway. It deals with our past and future karma, and in this case the polarity of those nodes have been dealing with who we are innately and who we are in relationships. So I'm saying there's lots of astrology happening. What I mean is that there's these outer planets, that's Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. Their slow ass movements are what we really look to as astrologers for the big astro kind of prediction stuff. And we all know that we were doing things in 2020 that we can collectively agree all of a sudden everything sort of started to change, or there was change in the air and we lost our footing, and then we began to start rebuilding. So those planets, they're doing their thing, and from my point of view it's an energetic turning of the dial on humanity, and we get caught in it, and we have to stand there and make a choice about who do we want to be and how are we going to survive the changes that are inevitably happening. So there's like AI, there's, for me, it's been just crazy housing stuff and changing work and everything. So really, so right now, from the 17th of September to October 2nd, we're in this eclipse portal. But we also, today, as I'm talking, we're in the middle of a yacht formation starring Libra Venus. So just to recap, Libra is a sign of relationships, and we're going to be in Libra season in a few days. So the relationship vibe is going to be lit anyway during this whole, like, all through a couple days from into September. So also Venus rules Libra, Venus being the planet, the part of us that decides what we value, who we value, and who and what we connect with. So this yod is really pointing to this Libra Venus. It's an aspect. It's also known as the finger of God, because what it energetically sets out, it's, well, a lot of astrology I haven't even mentioned, but we're coming to this sort of finale, a big crescendo, a big thing with relationships. We're coming to a sort of bridge lesson. So, the fantastic thing about life is that when you really learn a lesson, right? You really learn it, and you kind of get that feeling of like, wow, I've really grown up, or and then you just get like a new set of lessons, and that's design, and that's the nodes. They're moving into a brand new polarity. So this new polarity, Virgo and Pisces, is about what is real and what isn't, what is based in the status quo and what can be dreamed, what is um, really in the minutia and what is everything, and what is on this plane and what is spiritual. And there's a new dynamic, and we're approaching it, and we're going to be in it for a few years. It doesn't mean that it's going to be no more relationship dynamics or anything. It's just this vibe that we deal with will change. The kind of uh, flavor of the lesson will change. And I'm trying to explain this part of the divine plan, that there's a reason we have to do this, or we want to take responsibility for our behaviors so that we know ourselves and that we know what we stand for in our relationships. And let me tell you why, my friends. It's because this new world that we're creating will be very different than the one we're leaving. We're leaving a patriarchal, hierarchical, earth resource based vibe, and we're going into an Aquarius air vibe. And Aquarius reflects how, like most of us work online, or a lot of us work online or in the cloud much more than we did, and how computers and technology are coming up more and more to the forefront. It's kind of, we're on this sort of virtual plane. Aquarius is also humanity, and it's the group, it's the people, and all the lefties say, yay, it's power to the people. And till you find yourself as being the one who is being turned out of the village, we say yay until we realize that there's a group of complete maniacs is just as bad as having a complete maniac leader. Either way, it's crazy town. And trust me, I have seen this and I have experienced it. Many people will just go with the vibe or the thing that's easier, lighter, more popular, and more fun. Honestly, we all have a lot to deal with, so it's easy to see why people are more drawn to what's more pleasant, right? But as a conscious community builder, you got to look at these systems and say, everyone should get a share. Everyone's got to be equal, but is everyone fit to lead? Are we all fit to lead the world? And I'm asking you, my friends. So this is why we're doing this relationship work. This is why, because it starts with our relationship with ourselves. That's the North Node in Aries. That's I am. And to be a person that honestly and authentically represents who I am. And of course, there's Libra directly opposite where the South Node is, and that's I balance. And Libra is the sign of us getting along. It's the sign of justice. It's the sign of fairness, beauty, equality. And we like the sound of Libra better. And we don't like the sound of I am as much because it kind of sounds selfish, right? But really, I am is the only person who can take responsibility for me, right? So my point is, this new world is going to need us to get really clear on how to treat people, what our integrity is with those that are closest to us. Libra likes to let things go to make it all seem okay. Let's not show any cracks. Libra is magnificent, by the way. But this is my point. Libra can go way too far, just like Aries can go too far. You can literally bury bad behavior and not acknowledge what is there to keep the peace. if peace isn't peaceful for everyone involved, then it really isn't peace, is it? I mean this on a fundamental level because it ripples out into everything and it's insidious. The way we other groups or even each other, we do need to recognize as we go into this epoch, we do need to recognize that we're putting up with something, like if we're putting up with something that isn't ours, or that we don't actually really want, or that isn't actually cool with us, or something's not working, we need to rethink it. It's not selfish to identify where you aren't being you, because you are here specifically to be you, and your magic is needed for this new world that we're building. So, back to the eclipse, this is going to be a real sped up relationship lesson. We need to really know who we are, what we need, and what is innately ours. We need to step up into ourselves. And because if we don't have our roots in what's real, like the land, the water, the people we love, our integrity, when something bad happens, if we don't have that, we can all fall prey to hive mind. And hive mind is when we all try to normalize bad behavior and pretend that thing didn't happen. Hive mind can be wonderful if we all have a say and we bring out our authenticity and our internal compass and we move it forward, but it also can be our undoing, and it depends on our own core being aligned. So that's one message I have for this eclipse period, is that it's something that you can apply whether you're whatever you're dealing with. So look at what's happening and coming up, and if something feels wrong or bad, maybe get curious as to why it doesn't feel in alignment. Are you trying to smooth things over or go along with something or pretend something didn't happen and when it did? I want to name that this is also a trauma response for some of us, that victims of abuse often will try to normalize what happened because they want to actually just make things okay again. That's really a big thing, right? So this is not to shame anyone, but to make us aware of what's being asked of us. We're learning and growing together and being willing to grow and change, to admit that maybe we've been unconscious or unaware. That's a beautiful thing. I've been I've had to do that a lot, and I'm still learning as I try to see how I've been complicit in colonization and oppression of the First Nations of this country that I live in. I'm trying to do better and better, but for so long I was just complicit, even though my opinions were super supportive of First Nations people, Indigenous people. I wasn't really actually actively trying to dismantle anything. So I was just in it too. So it does happen. It's I just want to name it. Mostly this, like what I'm saying, is really just about personal relationships. I'm just trying to sort of make that thread of how it reverberates or fractals out. Um, Understanding how we treat those that are closest to us, ourselves in relationship, will have a direct reflection in society and community. And I see this a lot actually in kind of leftist circles where the politics are great or they sound great, but there's behavior that's sometimes like abusive. And I'm like, hey, friendo, I actually don't want to be part of your revolution, not like that. But of course, there's so much trauma in these circles. And, it doesn't matter if you're left or right. It happens in the right wing too. I want to say we're all learning. The invitation here is to cultivate awareness. And I hope we can all do that between now and October 2nd. Eclipse blessings to all of you. And thank you so much for watching.